Hey everyone, I'm shooting this quick video because I was in a discussion earlier today with some people who one of the guys was setting up a tank, and everyone was giving the comments that his sump was too small, and I agreed with it, but I gave the explanation of what issues I had with my sump. Not necessarily that my sump was too small, but that just uh, some changes I had to make to the amount of flow that was being returned to the tank because of the sump size I have and the sump configuration I have. So what I have for a sump on this 240 gallon is it's a 70 gallon tank, and it probably holds about 50 gallons of water. And when I first set it up, I wanted to run my return pump at 100% all the time, but what it was doing was it was flooding the sump when the power was out or when the return pump was turned off, because there was too much drawdown up in the tank and in the overflow box to that more than the headspace of the sump could handle. So the headspace is what I'm referring to as the amount of space above the regular operating water line in this tank. So I'm going to do a little demonstration illustrating this. So as you can see right now, the water in my sump is a little high. The auto top off just got done filling it up, and I have it set so it doesn't operate very frequently. So it does purposely go past the first sensor, but not to the second sensor with the amount of time I have the pump set to run. So we're going to watch that water level, and we're going to shoot this entire video with the same amount of water volume, all right, in the system. And I'm going to show you how it affects the headspace of the sump, because if I run the pump at a higher speed, there's going to be more water up in the display and in the overflow box waiting to be drawn down by the drain. So here we go. Right now the Varios 8 pump is at a setting of 3 out of 5, and I'm going to turn it up to 4. Alright, and we can already see that water volume is slowly coming down, and that is because the water is remaining in the display longer, because my overflow is rated for 2,000 gallons per hour, and it can probably handle that. The problem is my sump can't handle the drawdown of this tank with 200 and something, or 2,000 gallons of return water, or 2,000 gallons per hour return rate. So, alright, so you can see now it rests maybe about 1.5 inches below the water line, and it's still slowly going down. But I'm going to turn the pump up to 5 now. So now the pump is running at full capacity, and you can see that the sump is sitting lower. Now, the reason this causes a flood when I maintain the return rate at full power is because the auto top off is going to replace all this extra gained headspace with top off water, and then all this water that's not in the sump now is in the display and will come down as part of the drawdown when the pump turns off. I could run this chamber lower, in which case we would keep the same water volume and there'd be extra headspace to hold the drawdown. But the problem is I don't like running my water level too close to the top of my pump. And as you can see, I have a float switch here that probably comes really close to triggering if I run this all the time at the appropriate level. The other thing is the spillover from this last baffle creates a lot of bubbles, and if I run the sump chamber lower, then I get a lot of bubbles in my display. So that doesn't work for me. So I'm going to turn the return pump back down to 3. Well, actually, here, I'll show you what I'll do. I'm going to turn the return pump off, and we're going to see how full it gets. Now again, we're using the same water volume right now. This headspace has not been replaced with auto top off water. So we're going to see the amount of headspace left in this sump after the drawdown under normal working conditions. Alright, so you can see it's filling up pretty fast, and I'm going to tell you that it's going to get to be about 1 inch from the top where I am right now. And I'm not very happy with how full this sump gets when the pump is off. but it's it's what I have for now. And if we check out the sump, you can actually see the water line. I shot a test video of this earlier. So it's going to basically approach that top of that line that you see above the water level. We're getting close there now. We should hear the siphon break in a couple seconds, so that would be the primary siphon breaking. And once that breaks, the water level doesn't really go up any further. There it goes. Alright, so the siphon's broken. Water's only going to go up maybe another 3/8 of an inch before it's completely stopped. Alright, so you can imagine now that if what we saw earlier with the higher operating speeds and the sump being lower and then that headspace being replaced by the auto top off, so it's back at the first sensor, all that water that took up this much space in the sump is now still going to end up in the sump. And that was what's causing those small overflows every time that I turned the return pump off when I ran it and maintained it at full speed. Now there's a couple ways that can be fixed without lowering the flow. I could have lowered the baffles in my sump, which would have had less water under regular running conditions in the sump and more headspace in the sump. But this was I bought this sump used. It was already assembled, and I never thought to adjust the baffle height before the system got running. So as you can see, the baffles are still only about 5 inches below where we're sitting now. And the other option is get a bigger sump that has more surface area to it. That would definitely allow more headspace in your sump to accommodate the drawdown when your pump turns off. So I hope you like this video. I hope I did a good job of explaining how the return rate on your pump aquarium does actually affect how your sump handles a power outage or a feed cycle where the return pump gets turned off. And that I don't know, it was something I never considered when I started this setup, so I can easily see why others aren't considering this. So like I said, hope I did a good job of explaining it. And if you like this channel, if you like the setup, make sure you hit subscribe. Going to be doing a handful of videos kind of discussing more details about the system and how it got set up. So yeah, hit subscribe if you like, and have a good one.